You're rocking with some of the realest coaches in the game. Coach RB and Coach CB. Area code 459.
Guys, welcome back to Area Code 459 podcast. Today, we are talking about stepping outside of your comfort zone. I'm here with my host. She doesn't need an introduction, Coach CB, and then also with a special guest, my friend, Crawford III, Esquire. We're going to start with thanking our sponsors, and then we're going to move right along into this episode. Take it away, Caitlin.
First, we want to thank our guy, Rich Hernandez, at In-House Inc. He's from Panama City Beach, Florida, and he provided us with our logo that is provided behind Coach B. Second, we want to thank Mrs. Jennifer Murray. She's with J-Made Crafts, and she does outstanding work. She's working on our apparel and our household craft items for Area Code 459. And then we also want to give a great shout-out to our guy, George Frost. He's from Orlando, Florida. He is setting us up with our awesome East-based store where you can get your official Area Code 459 logo on any popular sportswear of your choosing. And then last but not least, we want to thank God. We want to thank family, friends, and listeners and believers of our Area Code 459 culture.
That's right. And we also, like I said, thank you, J-Made Crafts. She's got our shirts ready to go, looking good. Man, I would like to go ahead and introduce our speaker for today. It's my man, Crawford III. He is from Valparaiso, Indiana. He got his bachelor's degree at West Virginia University. He has a Juris Doctor degree from Faulkner University, Jones School of Law, and he currently practices criminal defense law in Pensacola. What is up, my guy?
How are you, sir? Thank you for having me on.
Man, no doubt, man. And if anybody doesn't know, man, this is one of my closest friends. This man is real. This man is nice, man. Everything he does is for spreading love and just pushing people to the next level. So I really appreciate him. Thank you so much, Oliver, for coming here today. What we're going to jump in today is we're going to go ahead and talk about stepping outside of your comfort zone. But before we get there, we do want to look at a little Q&A and talk about some different things when it comes to comfort zones. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just go ahead and give you all the definition of what comfort zone is. When I look at it, man, and I looked at Webster's dictionary, it says comfort zone is a place or situation where one feels safe or at ease and without stress. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, cool. Thank you, Webster. That was a cute dictionary version. But, I really was digging into comfort zone. I really wanted to know, what are people saying about it, man? I looked at a talented young New York writer named Tiffany Harper, and she says comfort zone is a state of mind where a person's anxiety and vulnerability are minimized, to manageable levels. It is that area of your life where you feel familiar with and in control of. So that was real, and that really resonated with me that she said, this is a manageable level in your life where you feel familiar and you feel real comfortable. Caitlin, what do you think about, what does that mean to you, in a comfortable space? What does that mean?
Really, when I think about it, it's a place where, home, home, I've never had to worry about bills. I never had to worry about when my next meal is going to come. I never had to worry about what I'm going to put on my body. I've always been able to go to church. I've always had a bed to sleep in. I've always had hot water, and living in Pensacola when I've been in the community, kids don't have that every day. It's not comfortable to not be able to have a roof over your head, not be able to have a shower, food every day. And so when I think of comfort, I think of home. But at the same time, I think of a place where it's easy to grow. It's easy to be myself. It's not a place where I'm really pushed, but at the same time, I have people that care about me.
Right. Oliver, what do you think? What makes you comfortable?
I can piggyback on what Caitlin said. For me, what was comfortable, I'm the youngest of five, was being home. My parents our family had lived in the same home for, I believe it was 35 years. I decided to go to college, West Virginia, thinking at the time that I wanted to get away from home. And I was trying to step out of said comfort zone, and I immediately was homesick. A lot of people don't know that about me, actually. I called my dad probably within 4 weeks of school, and I wanted to transfer home. I was uncomfortable. Uh, it wasn't really that I didn't like the school. I just wanted to be home. That's all I knew. All I knew was playing ball with my friends, and we were all scattered across the country. So yeah, it's just like it's a feeling of familiarity where you don't. A lot of times when you're like, you're stressed out about work or school or maybe a relationship, whatever, family issues, you start to, when you're in your comfort zone, those things you can think about all the time. But when you're on your own, you kind of tend to stress about that more because there's more things on your plate. So for me, my comfort zone was not having a lot of things on my plate. When I was able to focus on stuff and life was a little bit easier. Then as I got older, I've learned how to juggle those things a bit more.
Yo, that's dope, man. And I heard that you said that, you went from Indiana to West Virginia. So you're like, dude, like I didn't have anybody around. Pops
didn't know anybody.
Didn't know anybody. Like it just, drop of a hat, went somewhere else, man. And what about that whole situation? I know you said that you didn't have said things off your plate, or you needed things off your plate that didn't stress you. What about that situation actually made you uncomfortable?
Well, I had never really been around besides family, even when I was on vacation and stuff like that. So I didn't realize that, like, Valparaiso was very close to Chicago, so I'm very much a Chicago type guy. People made fun of my accent, the way I dress, what I thought was funny, I would come up to people on the street, even little things like this. Like when I saw people back home wearing Chicago stuff or even Notre Dame stuff, how me and Bobby met, he was wearing a Notre Dame hat. That's a story for another time. But I would be like, "Oh man, you're from the Midwest, you're from the city," and they're like, "No, I'm from I just like Michael Jordan." So that was like jarring to me because I would never wear another city's clothes. So I just kind of stayed to myself. I always had headphones on. I came really insular, and I didn't speak to a lot of people. So. And I was like, that made me really like, I kind of got really comfortable in my own skin. Once I stepped out of that and I was able to get comfortable, that's when I started making a lot of friends. And I used to be quiet, believe it or not. Yeah, I know.
All right. I believe you. Okay. if you say so. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That's pretty much it, really.
That's something that I can really relate to because like just recently, last summer, actually, I moved from Scola to Atlanta, and Ooh. It's a huge city, I'm not from the city. I'm from the beach. I'm from a little small town. And so when I moved here, it's just like, I don't know anybody, in small towns, everybody knows everybody. And so when I moved to Atlanta, it's like, dog, I'm really on my own out here, I'm not for me. Nobody's going to be for me. So that was very uncomfortable because I spent a lot of time, like long days, long nights in the house or in the gym by myself. And so I really, when I moved from gym to gym, working camp, I really had to push myself outside my comfort zone to talk to people, to meet people, so I wasn't always alone, and to have people around me that really pushed me to grow. So like that, I can relate to you because like I really moved from a different situation, and so it really pushed me to be uncomfortable.
Right.
That'll do it every time.
Well, I think I had that same story. You guys are, moved from Panama City Beach, small little area. I'm originally from Gary, Indiana, right outside Chicago. So I'm a Midwest guy. And, just moving from Panama City Beach, small town, everybody knows everybody, to, Austin, Texas, this big, huge city in this big, huge state, didn't know anybody. I moved here by myself. I didn't even move here with a bed. Like I literally sold my bed on Facebook and I was out, you know what I mean? So, just really really having to go away from that, where everything feels comfortable to you, you know what I mean? So, I resonate with both of you guys, like, really just jumping out there and getting out of your comfort zone and really speaking to people and connecting with people. That's what this world is about, is connections too. And that's what we learn through sports is, working with said people to accomplish a goal, right? So when I'm at work and different things like that, like I had to be able to interact with people that are not from where I'm from. So yeah, that was big. Oliver, how would you describe to a young person the feeling they would get when they feel uncomfortable? Like, how would you explain to a young person listening to you what that feeling feels like?
For me, it was a feeling of confusion. I'm a fairly confident person naturally. So when I was uncomfortable, the first thing I kind of felt like anxiety. I had to Google it. I didn't know what that felt like. Real talk. And I just like learned I had to open up more. I contended for a lot of times when I talk, even now to a fault sometimes. I'm saying a lot without saying anything. I had to learn how to be a little bit more. I had to communicate better. So I feel like if I could tell a younger me anything, it's like it's okay to open up to people that you may not necessarily know. Not everybody's out to get you all the time. So if you actually do feel anxiety about things, you can talk about that with people. There's a lot of people. I found a lot of comfort in joining groups and things like that of that nature in West Virginia. Like I joined the Spanish club, and I've made friends with people from like Spain and all over the world. Um, that was again doing something I never would have done in high school or anything different. I was just saying like you'll be surprised if you try new things in a positive light, like what comes back your way. If you're polite to people, people will be polite back to you. I had to get out of that kind of the way I was trained my whole life for 18 years was kind of just keep to your own. And if people are asking you a lot of questions that they probably don't have the best interest in mind, your best interest in mind. So I was kind of like closed off. And so I don't think that's the best way to do it.
Right.
So.
You know what though, man, I'm gonna say something though. Okay, so you said you were taught to always stay on your own, but you and I know and have had numerous conversations, and you watched me coach the game. Like you were a player back in the day, you know what I mean, back in high school days. And if you were to stay to yourself outside the game, but during the game, at school, with the team, you had to.
I was a different person, yeah.
Right,
I was a different person, yeah, no doubt.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, and what we're trying to convey to young people, and then also to all people is, guess what? That's what sports teach you, right? We're all, we've all played the game. We've all been players. And that's that, you're going to have to step out your comfort zone and work with said person on your team to be successful in a goal situation. And that just abounds to everything, relationships, with your siblings, relationship with your girlfriends into your wives, boyfriends into your husbands. That is something that, you're going to have to build up. And you're going to have to step outside that comfort zone. And I know that sports taught me that because, trust me, moving from Gary, Indiana to Panama City Beach, totally different. Yeah. Everybody I know looked like Bill Cosby, black, hero in the neighborhood of Gary. Then I moved down and everybody looked like Forrest Gump, Tom Hanks style. And I was just like, oh my God, totally different. Don't know what to do. But at the same time, I made things happen. Did you ever get nervous or a certain feeling when you got too comfortable?
Oh yeah. When my folks moved to Alabama, I was 19. I was a freshman, so I started going to Alabama. I started going to church. I started meeting people from the South, very rural, small town of Alabama, and I started to realize that like I'm a little bit more forward than people that are like really from the Bible Belt in the Southeast. And so I would say a little bit too much at times. I had to learn how to become a little bit more reserved a little bit as far as, because I would say things that I thought was funny and I didn't mean anything bad about it, but I just like, I would make fun of people's accents, for example, because I did not understand the Southeast Alabama accent. And that would really rub people the wrong way sometimes. So I had to learn, just like how I was a kid at one time and that used to bother me, I had to put myself in their shoes, which, and like start doing things that they wanted to do. Like I don't necessarily like going to a shooting range, for example. And I didn't want to do that. I just that made me very uncomfortable. But we talk about comfort zones, but I went to a shooting range and I had a blast. I was like, hey, don't knock it till you try it, right? You'd be surprised if you like something. And there's a reason why there's gun ranges all over the South. It's not because they're just gun crazed people, which those people exist, but it's also a good skill to have.
Right. For sure.
Yeah. How have you like opened yourself up to living a life where you're comfortable being uncomfortable now?
Oh, I do that every day. I have to talk to clients on the phone about all kinds of stuff. I don't have to. You basically it just takes practice, to be quite honest with you. I read a lot of books, self-help books, meditation type books. Bobby and I talk about stuff like that. Um, I talk about moving and traveling quite a bit, but at the same time, it's very important to remember where you came from and keep yourself grounded as well. Sometimes I'm working on a case right now where it involves like a young child and an adult, and he's probably going to go to prison. When I talk to that client, it's very uncomfortable. But it's part of your job. Certain things that you do as a career path is not going to be comfortable all the time, and you have to just do the best thing that you can, because everybody deserves a good defense, and that's one thing that's real crazy about being a criminal defense attorney, especially if it's an appointed case like this one is.
Well, we appreciate you sticking to the Constitution, because that is in it, by the way. Fair
Yes.
speedy trial. So we appreciate you sticking to the Constitution, my brother. Thank you.
I try, man. I try.
Thank you.
Somebody's got to do it.
That's right.
Yeah. Have you ever when you step outside your comfort zone, have there ever been times where like you've just been afraid to do it? You know, especially in the beginning, it was hard for me to like take that chance, take that risk. It was kind of scary. Has there ever been a time where like you've been afraid to really go outside your comfort zone and take a chance that kind of would put you in a better position?
Yeah. Taking the Florida bar exam. I was kind of afraid to do that. I had my issues with the test in Alabama, and I didn't pass it. And I was very discouraged. And then my dad was like, go to Florida. Florida is one of the hardest exams in the world. I didn't go to law school in Florida. I didn't really want to do that. You talk about being uncomfortable. I didn't want to do that at all. I prayed on it, went to church a bunch, talked to family. I was going to do something completely different, not even pursue law at that time. And my dad said, give it one more chance. And I just kind of did. It was like something I always wanted to do. I didn't give up. And like, if it's something you really, really want to do, and I was the first attorney in my family, besides my brother-in-law. I just had to honestly, you just have to trust in yourself sometimes. I feel like if you believe in yourself enough and for a goal, that in and of itself should be able to get you out of your comfort zone where you're going to be a little scared. Trust me, there'll be times where you're waking up in the middle of the night and you're like, dang, do I really need to do this? Like when I went to law school, I had no idea what I was doing at first. And you just keep trying. You keep trying to be better than you were the day before. Like, I hope that I'm a better attorney tomorrow than I was today. That's the way I look at it.
Man, I will tell you, you are definitely being real nice about the story. Like, I know you personally, and in the back of my head, the Eye of the Tiger song just came on. Because I remember you telling me, like, yo, man, I was getting ready for the bar exam, and dude, I had to get in shape. Like, literally, like, if my body didn't get in shape, then my mind wasn't going to be sharp. And I'm like, dude,
6 miles a day.
That's right. This dude is Sylvester Stallone running through the street, Eye of the Tiger going up, running up the stairs, pumping shit. I'm like, dude, this dude, I know he was really getting it, man. But no, that is really awesome to hear that story. And I'm glad our listeners were able to, understand that, man. Yeah, you gotta, when you want to grab something, you got to go out there and get it. And you got to step out of something that, that makes you comfortable. You got to step outside that comfort zone, and it might come with a little bit of anxiety, but you work on yourself to get past that anxiety. So that's real cool to hear that story.
Just because you fail does not mean that it's not meant for you to do that. And I had to get my mind through that. Some of the greatest people that ever graced this earth failed multiple times, even in the same career path that they wanted. It doesn't matter. Like, if you really, I'm telling you, I'm living proof of that. If you really want something, you can do it. It's just gonna take, sometimes, like, I thought I was working hard. Bobby attested to what I had to do. That was me actually working hard. That was me all in, waking up at 6, studying from 6:30 to 8:30, going on a run from 9 to 10, eating usually nothing. I didn't put anything bad in my body at all for like 6 months, every day, no days off. I was studying on the 4th of July. It sucked. I was hearing fireworks.
Story, man.
You know what I'm saying? But it was worth it. It was worth it.
Right. And I'm glad you dug deeper into that because I was gonna challenge you, man. That's what friends do. I was gonna challenge you because I knew the Eye of the Tiger story was in there. I'm glad.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah,
sure.
I feel you guys on that too. Like that's what happened with me when I decided to quit gymnastics. You know, I did that my whole entire life. That's all I knew. And then 10th grade, I quit it and decided to pick up a basketball. And I looked at Coach B and I said, I'm going to college for this sport. And he's like, all right, I guess you will. Maybe. I mean, you're literally the worst player ever seen.
Right.
You know,
That's honest God truth.
Oh man, come on.
You're terrible. But hey,
look,
she was in the she went to college. She was number 4 in the country in shooting, 3-point percentage this year. She is the single season 3-point record holder at her school. You know what I mean?
Hey now.
All conference on a nationally ranked team. Man, she did it, man. She made me into a believer. But once again, it's me injecting that love into her and understanding like, yo, like you're gonna have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. And I stole that from her too, by the way. She knows I did.
That's really cool, Kaylin.
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, he really pushed me outside my comfort zone, man. He had me in the gym 5 hours a day all summer before I went to college. He said, if you really want this, then we're going to get better. I was like, okay. I mean, I stayed up late. I had to go to work after. Didn't get home till 12. Woke up, be in the gym by 6. You know, it's just, like you said, if you really want it, you just embrace being uncomfortable until that goal you reach is accomplished. And then after that, it really stops being hard.
Once you start seeing those results, it's like it's not like work to it wasn't work to me anymore. Like what I'm doing right now is not work to me at all. This is what I've always wanted to do. And it just sucks getting there sometimes. But especially at the beginning, but if you can get past a little bit of that uncomfortable feeling and it starts to become a routine, you're good.
Yeah.
There you go. You wanted to ask about what makes you uncomfortable? That routine. Nothing has changed. You're just programmed your mind to be able to overcome that feeling. That's all that is. You're just used to it.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So let me ask you this question. And this is going to tap in a little bit personal, but it's, like I said, it's all love. Does loving a complete stranger make you comfortable or uncomfortable, and why?
That's a good question. Like a complete stranger on the street?
Like a complete stranger, like you don't know who this person is. Does loving them make you comfortable or uncomfortable?
I wouldn't know if it would make me uncomfortable or not. I mean, it kind of depends on the context, I guess. I see people at the jail. I don't particularly love them all the time. But if I see somebody that I feel like they're in a bad position, maybe that's not through some fault of their own, I definitely show some compassion towards that person. So yeah, I'm definitely capable of that, I would say. But it depends on the context. Like I said, like that's everything though.
Right.
I'm trying to get lawyer on you. That was a very lawyer.
Well, listen, you're a very smart dude. You're a very smart dude. I'm not going to even try to outsmart you when it comes to vocabulary and Latin stems of words and things like this. But I know that love and empathy play hand in hand. And when you have empathy and compassion for somebody, you do just tend to, you inject your passion and your love into them. You know what I mean? I just, honest to God truth, I walked past, a couple of homeless guys the other day on the street in Austin, Texas, and I'm thinking to myself, like, man, like, if I could do anything to change their life, maybe, it's just a word. Sometimes it doesn't have to always be about money. Maybe it's just hey, how you doing? You know what I mean? Let me let me spend, a second just to talk to you, or let me spend a second just to greet you. You know what I mean? To make you feel human, to give you some empathy, to give that love. So, that is a very good question, and I pose it because, you're a very hard shell to crack. So I wanted to see if I could stump you on something, but of course,
I expected that one. I was like,
of course, you jumped out there and made it happen. So I didn't want to be able to stump you. I'll try harder next time.
Man, I have a story about that. When I work at the community center in Pensacola, it was going through the time, like kind of a little rough time. We had a couple shootings happen. We had like a couple drug busts going on. And every time I walk into the center, all I heard was, oh, here comes the police. Because I'm the only white person that works there, And so every time I walk in, I say, here comes the police, here comes the police. And, it's so hard to walk into a place that you love to be at and serve people that don't love you, you know. And so over time you work there and you learn how to love people that don't love you back, and then you kind of see how that love softens people and it builds relationships. And especially with the younger kids that I was working with, when I first started working there, they completely hated me, and by the end, like when I left, they were crying because I was leaving. And it always because I came in every day like ready to love them, no matter if it was comfortable for me or not, you know. And I've kind of seen how that, like, loving people is super hard, but it's rewarding at the end of the day because they know that you care, and that's really what matters, you know.
That's awesome. Yeah. Left me a loss of words. That's rare.
Right. So
That's
I mean,
amazing.
Caitlin, we have anything left for Oliver on our plate, man? We gonna, or we good? Our hearts are clear. We have anything left?
I just have one more question.
All right.
I want to know how you find, I want the listeners to know this, but how do you find peace when you live a life that's uncomfortable?
What I've had to learn how to do is I've had to figure out times where it's me, like I'm doing something that I like to do, reading books that I like to read, whether it's playing a video game, listening to a podcast, doing something calming. Because if you're stepping outside of your comfort zone, you're stepping outside of your shell, you're doing something new, you're in a new place, you're in a new city, you're doing a new career. Maybe you're trying to do a different path in school. Another thing that's about comfort zones is I switched my major in undergrad like twice or three times. So
your dad let you do that?
Well,
oh man.
Yeah, I mean, it went from poli-sci to business to history, and with a major in Spanish as well. So he wasn't like opposed to it. It's not like I went to basket weaving.
Right. There's nothing wrong with basket weaving, man.
Hey, shout out to Mark Sanchez.
That's right. That's right.
But anyways, like I feel like you always have to do something. I try to take about 2.5 hours per day to do things that I like to do. So even if I may be uncomfortable during the day at work, like yesterday was not a very comfortable day, having to go see people at the jail, and you sitting in these little small rooms and it doesn't smell particularly great, but they're looking at you, they're trying not to go to prison. So you're looking at them like they're the most important thing in the world, even though maybe what they did was despicable. Maybe what they're alleged to do could be despicable, but that there's still a person there. There's still somebody that has a mom, has a dad, has a brother, has a sister, has an aunt, uncle. But when I come home and when I'm driving home from work, I always do stuff to make myself grounded, whether that's FaceTiming with my nephews or talking to my sister Gloria or Carla or my brother Khalil or my mom or my dad. Something. I do something every single day to keep myself grounded, remind me where I came from, remind me what keeps me happy. So that's the best advice I would do.
Yeah, that's
good. People tend to forget what's important sometimes, and they get on the hustle and bustle, and you forget, and then you can kind of get into a funk that way pretty quick.
Right. And can I add this to that, man? And for people that are listening and viewing, man, like what I heard you just say was, like it's okay to be outside your comfort zone, but don't forget your foundation. You know what I mean? Don't forget.
Absolutely.
You see what I'm saying? Like you can always go back to being comfortable. You can always go back to doing things that keep you grounded. I always talk about my free throw story, and I've said this on a different episode, but I always talk about being grounded in a firm foundation. Being able to shoot the basketball when I was coaching was a foundation that I felt for helping kids be successful. Like if they knew how to shoot, they had enough confidence to be on the court because they know, hey, if I chuck this ball up there, there's a big chance that this thing is going in. And Caitlin knows my shooting story. That's why she's smiling because, hey, I taught her the same thing. Like, you don't have to be the fastest thing on the court. You just got to have heart, passion for the game, and you better know how to shoot if you want to go past high school. So, I just want the listeners to really resonate with what you said and, staying grounded in your foundation and doing that. Well, we're going to get to this point where we always get to at the end of our episodes, and it's called our huddle up, man. And we like to huddle up, and we like to call things to action. And it's because when we leave Area Code 459 podcast, we want our listeners to take away something. So, Caitlin, I want you to go ahead and give them your call to action in our huddle today.
I want you to find, like we've done before, find one thing that you love and figure out how you can step outside your comfort zone and do that, and then reflect and see how it pushed you to grow.
All right, good, awesome. Oliver, you get the next word in the huddle. Call to action, my brother.
Piggyback on that a little bit, but except I'm going to tweak it a little bit. Find somebody that you respect that's maybe in a field that you like, that maybe what they do, and it could be a training exercise or maybe like for me, I had to learn how to do rote memorization, and the things that it took to do that made me I thought it was bizarre, beyond bizarre. Find something that you can do to make yourself a better person, whether it makes you, preferably if it does make you comfortable, do it every day for a week and see if you gain any knowledge from that, because I guarantee you will. Notate that down, write that down, and keep a journal of it, and do that every week, and keep going and keep going and keep going. And I promise you, you'll get to where you want to go.
Awesome. That reminds me of what Caitlin says all the time, man. Become comfortable being uncomfortable. Do something uncomfortable over and over again and be comfortable with it. Man, my call to action, guys, is going to be find 2 individuals, all right, that are not your relatives. You know how I am about relatives. Go past them. Go find somebody that you're not related to. Ask for a 5 or 10 minute conversation. The first question I want you to ask them is, what makes them comfortable? The next thing I want you to ask them is, what makes them uncomfortable? And the last thing I want you to share with that person is share with them one thing that you've noticed they do or say that makes you uncomfortable. I want you to share with them one thing that you've noticed that they do or say that makes them uncomfortable. That makes you uncomfortable, excuse me. And I think if you do that, that will resonate with a conversation, and you'll get to know the people that you surround yourself just a little bit better. Well, we're going to end this show with our mottos. Oliver, if you have a motto you want to share with our listeners, you're welcome to. If not, we're going to just move forward with our mottos.
Well, in the words of Bruce Lee, man, be like water. Always mold to your surroundings. Always know that you can fit in wherever you are, no matter what you look like, no matter what you studied, no matter where you went to school, no matter who your parents are, no matter who your family is. You can mold to any surroundings if you want to.
Absolutely. I'm going to go next because Caitlin has the ability to share her motto in a bigger graphic sense. So remember that Coach B loves you, all right? And let love be the frequency.
Caitlin, and we just want you to know, area code 459, let's be 1% better every day.
Every day. Oliver, we appreciate you. Thank you so much. Love you guys.
Love, man. I had a good time. Appreciate it. Anytime, guys.
Thank you.